Good day, everyone. Welcome to our session titled Understanding and Embracing Learners with Hearing Impairment. In this session, we will explore what hearing impairment means, how it affects students' learning, and what we can do as future teachers to make our classroom more inclusive and responsive. We will also talk about practical strategies, challenges, and strength of learners with hearing loss, while connecting this to the values of equity, diversity, and inclusion, or EDI. Before we start, I'd like to ask, have you ever met someone who has hearing loss? How did you communicate with them? Thank you for sharing. Let us now begin our learning journey. By the end of this session, you will be able to 1. Describe the types, causes, and effects of hearing impairment. 2. Identify the strengths and challenges of learners with hearing impairment. 3. Demonstrate empathy and inclusive communication strategies. 4. Propose ways to create inclusive learning environments. And 5. Reflect on the importance of equity, diversity, and inclusion in education. These objectives will serve as our guide today as we build both knowledge and compassion toward learners with hearing differences. To start, we will have a short experience-based activity titled, "Can you hear me?" Please cover your ears or play this short muffled audio clip on YouTube called Hearing Loss Simulation. While you listen, I will read a few sentences aloud. Try to understand what I am saying. Let us open our ears and hearts, for every word shared today brings us closer to new discoveries and understanding. When we listen, we learn not just with our minds, but with our character. Now that we're done, how did it feel? Was it frustrating or confusing? This short experience shows how learners with hearing impairment often feel when teachers speak without visual support. Take 1 minute to write your thoughts in your notebook. How would I feel if I had to learn this way every day? Afterward, we'll hear a few short reflections from volunteers. This activity reminds us that inclusion begins with empathy. Hearing impairment refers to a partial or total inability to hear in one or both ears. It can be mild, moderate, severe, or profound. Some people are born with it, while others acquire it later due to infections, accidents, or long exposure to loud noise. Let us now understand the 4 main types of hearing loss. Number 1. Conductive hearing loss. This happens when sound cannot pass through the outer or middle ear. It is often caused by earwax buildup, infection, or eardrum injury. Fortunately, this type is usually temporary and treatable. Number 2. Sensorineural hearing loss. This occurs when there is damage to the inner ear or auditory nerve. It is permanent and is often genetic, caused by aging or exposure to loud noise. Hearing aids or cochlear implants can help. Number 3. Mixed hearing loss. This combined both conductive and sensorineural causes, meaning the person may have blockage and nerve damage at the same time. Number 4. Central hearing loss. In this type, the ear may work fine, but the brain cannot interpret sound properly. Learners may hear but struggle to understand words clearly. To visualize this better, let's watch a short video titled Hearing Loss in the Classroom. Observe how hearing loss affects communication between students and teachers.
Guys, welcome back. Monday morning. Hope everybody had a great weekend.
For a child with hearing loss, no matter how good the technology is, they're listening through a damaged auditory system. We need to help them to hear what's happening in the classroom. If they don't hear the teacher, if they don't hear the questions and comments from other kids in the classroom, they're going to miss a significant amount of what happens, and that's not fair to them. We have to remember that classrooms are very noisy places. For a child to hear well in the classroom, we need to give them some special assistance. The first example we're going to show you today is to help you understand what a child with a hearing loss hears in the classroom with an FM system and what he would hear if we didn't turn the FM system on.
So let's get it going.
The teacher in this classroom has forgotten to put on his FM microphone. Without the microphone turned on, it's almost impossible for a child with a hearing loss to hear clearly. Let's listen to what a child with a hearing loss will hear with the FM unit turned off.
I know that we had written down at least 2 or 3 ideas each, and we had written them down in our notebooks. So if everybody remembered to bring their notebooks with them, you can reach in your...
Without an FM system on, the child is going to be hearing very muffled speech, or like they're listening from a very great distance.
We were talking about geography, and we had a...
Forgetting to turn on the FM system can happen to anybody, but don't count on the student to tell you if it's not working. Look for visual clues that he's confused, or watch the student trying to look around to see what's happening in the classroom. After a quick check, the teacher can turn on the microphone, check with the student, and make sure that all is working well.
Okay, good.
That gets the student back on track and gets the lesson going in the right direction.
We sounding okay now? Okay. So
Once the FM system is turned on, the student is hearing as if the teacher was standing right next to his ear.
generated a list of which jobs were important to know geography.
Making sure that the FM system works is the responsibility of both the teachers and the students. The students are responsible for advocating for themselves and should be encouraged to say something when the FM system either isn't working or is working poorly. As long as they can hear, they can compete.
After watching, list 2 things you learned about hearing loss and 1 way teachers can make lessons more accessible. Learners with hearing impairment have unique characteristics that affect their learning and social interaction. Physically, they may use hearing aids or cochlear implants. Cognitively, they have average intelligence but may experience delay in language or literacy due to limited sounds exposure. Emotionally, they may feel isolated or frustrated if they cannot communicate easily with others. Socially, they might prefer to interact with peers who understand sign language. Behaviorally, they may appear inattentive when in fact, they simply did not hear the instructions. As teachers, we must learn to recognize these signs not as defiance, but as communication challenges. Despite these challenges, learners with hearing impairment have many strengths. There are excellent visual learners with strong attention to detail. They are often observant, creative, and persistent. Many demonstrate empathy and kindness because they understand what it feels like to be excluded. However, they may feel language barriers, difficulty following oral instructions, and limited participation in discussions. To understand this better, let us have a group task. In groups, I will give you cards labeled with different learner traits. Sort them into 2 categories: strengths and challenges. Discuss how teachers can use their strengths to overcome the challenges. By focusing on strengths and providing proper support, we help learners with hearing impairment thrive in both academics and social life. Communication is the foundation of inclusion. Here are some simple but powerful strategies for teaching learners with hearing impairment. Use Filipino Sign Language for basic greetings or instructions. Write directions and key points on the board. Always turn on captions when playing videos. Face your students while talking so they can read your lips. Use gestures, visuals, and facial expressions to support understanding. Let us now try an interactive task. Pair up with a classmate. One of you will give simple instructions using only gestures, no words allowed. The other will follow, then switch roles. How did that feel? Which gestures help you understand better? This activity reminds us that communication is not limited to words. Our body language and visuals also teach. Inclusion means ensuring that all students feel accepted, supported, and involved in learning. For learners with hearing impairment, inclusion begins with empathy and awareness. As teachers, we must foster a respectful classroom culture, use captions, visual materials, and peer collaboration. Encourage students to learn simple sign language greetings. Most importantly, teach your class that everyone deserves equal participation. In your groups, create a mini poster titled "Inclusion Starts with Me." Illustrate or list how teachers and classmates can make school inclusive for learners with hearing impairment. Equity, diversity, and inclusion are the pillars of effective teaching. Equity means giving all students fair access to learning tools like captions and interpreters. Diversity means recognizing that learners have different needs and cultural identities, including the deaf community. Inclusion means ensuring everyone participates, learns, and feels valued. In classrooms, this translates to accessible materials, modified assessments, and an environment that celebrates every learner's uniqueness. To apply inclusive strategies effectively, schools can implement the following. Use a peer buddy system to support social interaction. Display visual schedules and routines. Collaborate with interpreters and audiologists. Train teachers on sign language and inclusive pedagogy. Conduct awareness campaigns to promote empathy among students. Remember, inclusion is not only about resources, it is also about mindset. Let us look at 3 examples that show how support can make a difference. Case number 1. Kobe, mild hearing loss. Kobe often struggles to understand oral instruction during group work. His teachers began writing important points on the board and seated him near the front. This simple change improved his focus and confidence. Case number 2. Brian, profound hearing loss. Brian communicates using Filipino Sign Language. The teachers learn basic signs and encourage classmates to do the same. Over time, Brian became more engaged and built friendships. Case number 3. RV, moderate hearing loss. RV uses an FM system connected to her hearing aids. Her teacher checks the device before class and uses caption videos for visual reinforcement. This small accommodation allows RB to participate fully. These cases show how understanding and consistent support lead to meaningful inclusion. As future educators, we must become advocates for inclusion. Advocacy means promoting awareness about hearing impairment and ensuring equal access to education. Schools should invest in assistive technology, sign language training, and professional collaboration. By working together with families, teachers, and specialists, we can create schools that empower all learners to communicate and succeed. Think about this. What is one advocacy action you can take as a future teacher to support students with hearing impairment? Let us review what we accomplished today. In our Can You Hear Me activity, we simulated hearing loss to develop empathy. In hearing barriers, we watched a video to understand causes and effects. In strengths and challenges, we identified how teachers can turn barriers into opportunities. In Say It Without Words, we learned how gestures enhance communication. Finally, in Inclusion Starts With Me, we express commitment to inclusion through creative posters. All these activities aim to strengthen both your awareness and your inclusive mindset. To assess your learning, please answer the following. Number 1. Name 2 main types of hearing loss. Number 2. Identify one common challenge faced by learners with hearing impairment. Number 3. Suggest one classroom strategy that promotes inclusion. Afterward, write a short reflection. How can I apply inclusive strategies in my own teaching practice? Lastly, review the 3 case examples, Kobe, Brian, and RV, and identify which strategies were most effective and why. All content presented in this session is based on credible research and professional references, including World Health Organization, World Report on Hearing, UNESCO 2020, Towards Inclusion and Education, Department of Education, Inclusive Education Framework, American Speech-Language Hearing Association, Classroom Acoustic and Assistive Devices, Inclusive Teaching, Deaf and Hearing Impaired, Marsh-Stark and Hauser, How Deaf Children Learn, Eric Brophy and Whittingham, Teachers' Perception of Inclusion, YouTube Educational Resources, Hearing Loss Simulation and Hearing Loss in the Classroom. These references strengthen the foundation of inclusive education practices. Today's session reminds us that inclusion begins with understanding. Learners with hearing impairment do not lack ability. They only need access, support, and respect. As future educators, let us commit to building classrooms where every voice matters, whether heard or signed. Thank you.